Once you have identified a property, the first financial step is to know the real cost of the purchase, not just the advertised price. Let's jump back onto the screen where I'll explain you this in a bit detail. Now this is an Excel sheet which I have prepared, which will let you know how much is the rental yield you can expect from a property, and also how much money do you need to purchase that property. Now there are few assumptions that have been taken which are mentioned here, and I've also assumed that you will be taking an interest only loan. Few things which I have added here, like for depreciation, stamp duty, LMI calculator, I have used these websites to find this information that I have captured in here. You can also use this based on your circumstances. Now in this example, I'm assuming that I've taken a property of $500,000. Now assuming that I'll be giving 12% deposit, which means I will be paying around $60,000 on it, and the LMI based on this is 14,510. The total loan amount will be $454,000, which bank is gonna loan me. Now, if I'm taking buyer's agent, I've added $10,000 for buyer's agent. Remove it or increase it based on your situation. Stamp duty is $18,000. Conveyancing is around $2,500. Maintenance is, I'm assuming that it will be about $5,000. It could be zero, it could be more, which but we'll come to know once we buy the property. But keep this money aside. Now, of course, there are some charges on the from the bank when you get a loan and the loan is dispersed. I've added that as well. And you also do pest and building inspection. Generally, it's about $700, but it may increase or decrease. So as you can see, if I just calculate the additional money on top of buying the property, it's around $51,000 is the add-on. So just keep in mind that property is not just the cost that you're paying or not just the deposit, there's some additional cost as well. Now once you know, that's why I always say have a chat with your mortgage broker. They will help you to understand all of what you can borrow and what you can spend on buying a property. Now once you know which property you're buying, you can also calculate the rental yield that you can expect from the property. Now for assumption, I've assumed that I'll be getting $520 as a monthly rent. You can reduce it. Let's say I'll be getting $470 as a rent for this property. Now this will reduce my yield of the property rental yield to be 4.89% only. See, I'm not saying it right or it is wrong. It really depends upon whether it is right for you or not. How much money can you shell out from your pocket every month? Now other expenses, for example, is the property management fee. If you are hiring a property manager, the monthly maintenance per annum is approximately estimated to be $2,000. Depreciation is $2,500 based on the calculations from this side. Insurance is roughly about $2,000. Rates and water charges are roughly about $4,000. This is the annual charges once you buy your property. Few assumptions. I assume that capital growth of 6%, which is quite decent in Australian market, and that's where the average, experts say that the average goes around 7%, but I have considered it to be 1% less, which is 6%. On a longer term growth for properties, the rent increase is by 4% depending upon the year. It could be more or it could be less. Now I've calculated the current interest rate at 6.04%. However, I've also considered the medium term interest rate to be 5.5%, and I've considered inflation to be at 3%. Now why I have done all of this is because I have done a year by year return on investment chart as well. Here in this chart you can easily see how much your property can make every year and how much you have to give from your pocket every month or every week. The green section is all about income. This yellow section is all about expenses, the cash flow, and then what are the gains. Right, so the income from the rental, which we just calculated here, is 24,440. Is that's what I have used. Depreciation is what we have got here from this depreciation side. is what I've captured here. In terms of expenses, loan repayments is 27,452. Property management fee is based on the percentage that you have agreed with your property manager when you have signed the agreement with them. Average maintenance cost, insurance cost, and rates. Now, based on all of these, your net cash flow per annum is $10,468, which means this is the amount that you have to give from your pocket every year to maintain this property. Now, let's assume the rent has increased to $520 a week. Now, as you can see, this is drastically reduced to $8,000 only. Now, the property value is 530. This is based on the 6% gain, which means you have made $30,000 on this property in year one only. Now, this is the way you can see for the next 15 years what you can get from this property. And as you can see, every year your cash flow from your own pocket is reducing, which means you have to pay less, and once you reach year 8, it will be a positively geared property. And the next tab is a snapshot, which will give you a high level snapshot of how much profit you can make in year 5. So this is total cash flow is negative $22,000. How do I get it? It is this one. If you just sum up for the next 5 years, it is giving you 2259. Total equity is 169,113. Total equity in the year 5 is 169,113. Total return is total equity minus total cash flow. It's give you $147,000. Now in this section, we are calculating the return on capital employed, which is simply the money that you invested, which is $97,000. And how does this look on the total return? It is 151%. Similarly, in 10 years, it's 389%. In 15 years, it is crazy 736%. Now, all this is based on the assumptions that we have mentioned here. If any of this thing changes, then your calculation will also change. But this will give you a rough idea of how this thing looks on papers rather than just assuming everything in your mind. Now, this chart is nothing. This just shows you the property value, which is in blue, versus the equity that you have in your property, which is the red bar. I hope this gives you an idea on how everything looks like on papers and how much money do you need to get aside to buy your first investment property. I'll attach the link of this sheet in the description so that you can download a copy for yourself. Alright, I have to admit, the steps in this video are very simplistic, and I'm sure I have missed to show you a few other important things in this video which are really important. But that's the point. As a beginner, it is good to start with basics than to know everything. Once you actually start analyzing the deals and talking to agents, you will discover that there are many nuances and more advanced layer of analysis is required. Now, there are also paid data services that make analysis easier and gives you more insight. But my view is that as a beginner, you should first build your fundamentals and confidence. As you grow, you may choose to invest in paid tools. That will be your decision. Analyzing a property deal is not about luck. It's all about knowing your numbers and making informed decisions. I hope this video gives you a framework to at least start analyzing deals with confidence. And make sure you watch my next video. I will be sharing an exciting update about my own property investing journey. If you found this helpful, please like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you do not miss any updates. See you later.